We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Freedom Homestead and welcome to the Beyond Labels Book Club for Wellness Wednesday. My name is Tangi and I am joined by Miss Julie from Row & Co Farms and from Miss Anna with Fermented Homestead. And we are down one of our pals, Miss Constance. I told her I was going to say this, is over there going hog wild over on her farm. And if you want to know what we're talking about, you're going to have to watch the video. So I do have our channel links down in the description box below. If you are not subscribed to everyone, if you're not, please do so. I cannot recommend these ladies enough. They have so much helpful, wonderful content over on their channels. Everything from fermenting, canning, farming, gardening, animal husbandry. They do all the things. So let's give a quick intro, just in case there is anyone new watching. Miss Julie, would you like to introduce everyone to yourself and your channel?
Yes. Hey, everybody. My name is Julie. I have a farm and a YouTube channel called Row & Co Farms. We are in Central Georgia, Zone 8A, tentatively 7B, 8A. We grow lots of our own food. We've been homesteading for about 12 years now, and I'm just really enjoying this book club, learning lots more new information, sharing some old information, and just sharing our journey of homesteading with you guys. So glad to be here. Glad you guys are here with us. I see Kathy over there. Hey, Kathy, glad you're here. And I'll turn it over to Anna.
I'm Anna. I have the YouTube channel, The Fermented Homestead. Once upon a time, last week we had homestead. Now we're in transition and we are currently in an Airbnb on the hunt for our next homestead, which is most likely going to be very far away from here. I like to do all kinds of videos on food preservation, canning, freezing, dehydrating, fermenting, all of those sorts of fun things. And I'm currently on a wellness journey myself. So this particular book is right up my alley and I am really enjoying learning so much from it. So.
And I am Tangi with Freedom Homestead. Here we share our life, our love of liberty, and our pursuit of preparedness. We do that through gardening, preservation. We have chickens, and we just are always trying to learn new things on how we can be just a little bit more self-sufficient. We are really glad that you guys are joining us. We are talking about the book Beyond Labels that is written by Sina McCullough and the beautiful, wonderful, amazing, genius Joel Salatin. I might be a fan. It's whatever. So today we are talking about chapter 4, and the reading assignment was Practical Bites 16 through 20. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. If you want to go back and watch the replay of our other book club, there's so many excellent talking points. These ladies amaze me with all of their knowledge and their passion behind having access to good, healthy, untainted food. And this book is basically about that. It's how you can resource it. Wherever you are, whatever your story is, whatever your health needs are, it's just to educate us a little bit more on the food system and what it is our bodies need. And that way we can make informed decisions for ourselves. So anyway, all right, so let's get to it. So the first practical bite that we're going to talk about is throw out the artificial sweeteners. So how many of you are guilty of consuming artificial sweeteners, knowing good and well that it is bad for you? And I will be the first to raise my hand. If I want something bubbly, I will reach for the Coke Zero, even though I know I shouldn't. And I will also reach for the sugar-free coffee creamer, even though I know that I shouldn't, because and I even told the ladies when we were staying at the Airbnb, I know it's a chemical crap storm. Mm-hmm. Yet here I am drinking it.
I did the same thing. I kicked out any kind of diet soda a long time ago. It's been a very, very long time since I've had any. I will occasionally have a regular pop, but it's pretty infrequent. I can't stand the taste of Coke anymore, Pepsi, none of that kind of stuff. Every once in a while, I'll have a Sprite or ginger ale or something like that, but always with sugar. I can't do the sugar-free stuff, except Zevia. Zevia is, please, nobody tell me that stuff is bad, because it is my saving grace. I drink that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But I can't do the Diet Coke or anything like that. I just learned way too much about what it does to your microbiome. And I had to kick it out. But there was a period of my life that was about 6 months recently where I did have quite an excess of the chemical-free, sugar-free, not chemical-free, chemical-laden sugar-free crap storm of sugar-free creamer. But thankfully I have kicked that to the curb, and I'm just doing the little the monk fruit drops in my coffee, and that seems to be doing pretty good. But other than that, I mean, I generally have a pretty good, I tend to stay away from it because I know how bad it is, especially with all the research I've been doing for the microbiome, because mine's jacked up because I jacked it up by sugar-free sweeteners.
Yeah, I'm also, I do not use any artificial sweeteners. Partly because they're terrible for you, but partly because they leave a weird aftertaste. I've always thought they have, and even from the days of Sweet and Low, I know Sweet and Low's still out there, but in Georgia, I mean, sweet tea is a thing, and people would constantly, you would see people put Sweet and Low in their tea, and it's just, ugh. Like, ugh, it just always left a weird taste. So I am not a fan, and definitely don't use it. I don't even like the monk fruits and stuff like that. I basically, I'm addicted to the real stuff. Unfortunately, I still use lots of sugar in things. I try to use raw sugar and honey and maple syrup, but it's still sugar. You know, I'm still probably consuming a little more than I should in general. But I can say that artificial sweeteners for me are out. They are not part of my thing because I don't like the way they taste.
Yeah, one thing when I started doing keto, I was transitioning a lot to sugar-free things just to kind of get me over the hump. But then I learned, as I was learning to cook with like Swerve and things like that, that I would just rather not have the sweet stuff. Like it wasn't the same because it had like this cooling like aftertaste, and I was just like, I just rather not have it. I guess that's really a good thing. You know, it's like I would rather not have any sugar or anything sweet at all than to have this other stuff. Okay, so let's talk about, and we've kind of touched on it already, but why is it so bad for us? I know that Anna talked about like what it does to your microbiome. And if you guys are not following Anna's story, she is truly on a journey to heal her gut. And right now she's consuming all of the delicious probiotic things. And so she's really, really, I know she already knows a lot, but I'm assuming you're learning even more about gut health, microbiome, what it does for you. So what do artificial sweeteners do to your microbiome that is so bad?
It kind of depends on which sweetener you're talking about, but most of them are a fair number of them. Like, for example, the yellow sweetener, was that one? I can't remember what it is, but anyways, they had originally marketed it as, or they had originally created it as an herbicide and some kind of a chemical for crops and things like that. And then that's what they were using it for. And then one time one of the scientists accidentally tasted it and realized that it tasted sweet. So like, hey, let's just rebrand this and kill off everybody's gut microbiome. And then of course, because it is like a GMO product of regular sugar, they like market it. I totally fell for that thing for like a good 5 years. I was like, this is good sweetener. It's good. I can have it. You know, sucralose. Sucralose, I think, maybe, whatever. But and so it's an herbicide. It's a pesticide. It kills, and the stuff inside of your gut, like it might not damage. The way that they're able to get away with it is that it doesn't damage your body. It's not bad for your body, but it destroys your gut microbiome and all of your immune system and the way that your body functions, the receptors, it all runs from the bacteria. It's all this one big network of bacteria running through your body, and it kills those. And so that's how they're able to get away with it. And I mean, amongst the other highlighted portions of all the corrupt crap that they pull with the scientists and the professors and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it basically just kills your microbiome, and that's why it's so damaging to your body.
Yeah, our bodies weren't meant to metabolize a lot of these things. I mean, they're foreign substances, and so anytime your body comes into contact with a foreign substance, it produces an autoimmune response, an allergy response, an inflammatory response. And that's why all these people are walking around inflamed constantly, because our bodies are getting onslaught of chemicals that it's trying to get rid of. Our body is always trying to get back to homeostasis, which is a balance between all of its chemicals and its liquids and its all the cells going back and forth. And literally your body is doing that 24/7. Every time you take one bite of food, it's throwing a chemical in there to balance out what you just put in. And so if you're throwing all of these weird foreign things in there, it doesn't know what to do. And so then on top of just your normal digestion that needs to happen, you've got inflammation. And it's not just from that one thing, it's from the hundreds or thousands even of things that we're getting exposed to every single day. So yeah, if you can take the steps to eliminate just some of those things out of your intake and the onslaught of I think, yeah, you're way, way better off. This is an easy place to start. Just drink water.
Yeah. Or yeah. And learn to like unsweet tea, which I mean, listen, born and raised in Georgia. I know for a fact that we were given sweet tea in a bottle. Okay. I love sweet tea, but I have also learned to like unsweet tea. And really it's more refreshing. And I have also learned that as you are weaning yourself off of artificial sweeteners and even real sweeteners and just not consuming it as often, that your taste buds start to mature and you really start to, I don't know, I know Anna talks about the umami flavors, things like that. You appreciate them more and like them more, and you can really, I think, taste things better. So that's definitely, I don't know, if you love to eat, that could be a good thing. You're not desensitizing your taste buds with all of the sweet stuff.
Yeah, I found that if I'm doing, like, I've done carnivore for various stints throughout this journey that I'm on. And if I'm doing carnivore for long enough, like even unsweetened yogurt will taste sweet. I'm just like I don't need to add anything to it, because just plain unsweetened yogurt, I'm just like, oh, this is plenty sweet. I don't need to add anything to it. It's crazy.
I always found it so odd when people would say, oh, I can't eat that, it's too sweet. I'm like, what does that even mean? Well, now I understand it. And then there's times when, like, if someone's serving me some dessert and I'm trying it, I'm like, I need some black coffee to wash this down. I need something really bitter and strong to counterbalance all of the sweetness.
Yeah. I think we maybe have talked about it last week or a couple weeks ago. Anna, you even mentioned how the gut microbiome is almost stronger. It's that second brain. And so when you're craving all those sugars and things, that is your microbiome. That's those bacteria saying, feed me more sugar. I want more sugar, because the more sugar you give me, the more prolific I become. So you're growing even more and more of those bacteria sometimes by consuming all that. So yeah, it's just, I mean, it's like this cycle, and it just gets worse and worse the more you kind of go down it. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but we can fix it, guys. We can fix it. So just some simple steps.
It's like, I think it might've been earlier in this book, but it's basically like, it was an analogy between the two puppies. It's like this boy comes and he has two puppies, and he asks his grandpa, which puppy's going to be the biggest? And he said, whichever one you feed.
Yeah.
Like if you feed the bad bacteria with the processed sugars, the fake chemical laden crap, there is bacteria that will feed on that, but it's really bad bacteria. But if you cut that stuff out and you just switch over to like wholesome, good foods, low carbs, all those sorts of things, you're gonna feed the bacteria that is gonna do well for your body, and it's gonna help you to perform better.
I've heard that same analogy about when you're feeding the good or the bad, you not microbiome wise, but your morality wise.
Cutting out, Julie. Is that just me?
No.
Did we lose her?
Maybe she's frozen.
Julie, hello.
Well, so when she comes back, so you want to talk about some of the corruption behind the sweeteners?
We live for this stuff. But yeah, one thing. Okay, so this is the chapter that I actually had my highlighter for. So the other chapters, I couldn't find a pen in this whole freaking house, so I didn't highlight anything else. But I highlighted this part. And it was basically, it says, one reason for the cozy relationship that is developed between industry and universities. For instance, industry pays universities to conduct research on their products. Scientists are paid by industry through corporate endowed positions, and scientists are paid by industry to sit on their advisory boards. Meanwhile, professors can own stock in the same companies that sponsor their research. How corrupt is that? Like, I can sit here as a professor, like, I think oftentimes people attribute their own morals to other people, and I would be like, I would never do that. No, but no, the research follows whoever sponsors the whether it's intentional. It usually is intentional, but whether it is intentional or unintentional, whoever gives you the money, you're more likely to side with and get the result that they want, and then they're able to actually buy stock in the company that they're approving this medicine for. Like, it seems pretty jacked up. Like, who's going to blow the whistle on that one? I'm just going to buy into the stock, approve this medicine, and then, buy out within the next 10 years before it goes, tits up. Like, it's easy. Hello, you're back.
I don't know if I lost my connection or if you lost yours, but it went dead. I apologize.
Oh, glad you're back.
Yeah.
So, so we're just talking about the corruption behind artificial sweeteners. And it's like Anna just said, if you want to really understand anything, follow the money. Follow the money. So, who is telling people to oh, you know what, it would be better if you would just, if you want something sweet, use this artificial sweetener. Are we hearing that from doctors? Are they telling us, your blood sugar is high. If you want something sweet, then you need to go for the pink and yellow packages instead of.
At my work, I cringe every time somebody asks me for a packet of the pink sweetener. And I'm just like, it's not the 1980s anymore. There's enough research out there. You should know how bad this stuff is. Like, it's willful ignorance at this point. If you still consume that stuff, it's willful ignorance, and that's fine. Like, if you want to, like, that's more power to you. But like, I don't even try anymore. I used to be like, well, we have the green sweetener. We have the stevia if you want that. And they're like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah.
But like, one other part, if you'll humor me, that I thought was really interesting. It said by 1995, nearly 165 peer-reviewed studies had been conducted. This is on aspartame sweetener, pardon me. 165 studies had been conducted. Roughly half of the studies found no problems associated with using aspartame. 100% of those studies were funded by the manufacturer, GD Cyril, whatever, which is a subsidiary of Monsanto at the time. In contrast, among the other half of the studies, 92% found problems with aspartame. All of those studies were funded by independent entities, yet aspartame still remained on the market. The heck?
Well, you can look, even they do these little experiments where they put sugar down and they put aspartame down, and the ants won't even touch The
Yeah. They'll go
I'm like,
around
if
to get to the real stuff.
exactly, it's like if the animals know it's no good, why aren't we keying into the fact that they won't even eat it? And most insects, if it's something sweet and sugary, they're immediately going to get it. But they know that it's not real sugar. They know it's not the real one of those glucose, fructose, sucrose type things. And so they're like, no way, I'm not consuming that. It's just very interesting to see that nature knows, but apparently we don't.
Yeah. I can always kind of tell when I don't get headaches. I'm not subject to headaches at all. But thankfully, but anytime I find that aspartame in there, like I'll usually get at least a mild headache. Like if I accidentally have it, like I usually scan. That's the nice thing about aspartame is that it is a warning on almost all products that it contains. It is like in the warning section. It goes by a different name. I can't remember. It starts with a P, but anytime you see warning contains P, whatever it is, that's aspartame. And I'm just like, nope, not going to have that. So at least that one particular sweetener, like, if it's in there for the most part. I don't know if it's a California thing and they just package all ones like that, or if it's just now they have to put it on there. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. Someone has pulled up and I don't know who it is, and my dogs are going crazy. Also, we have a really bad storm that's blowing through. So if we get disconnected, then we'll catch y'all next week. Okay. All right. Okay. So one of the things that I also found, which I already knew this, but just kind of seeing it right here in black and white, is everything that artificial sweeteners are found in your mouthwash, your chewing gum, salad dressings, all of that stuff. It's it can be very and prepared meats. That was another thing. Like, why? And like, I found myself asking that question a lot. Like, okay, for example, I've looked on the back of it's not sweeteners, but I've looked on the back of a jar of pickles, and it has coloring in it. Why?
It's
not green enough.
People think that if it's not this perfect green or this perfect certain color, that they can't eat it. And so they're going to like enhance that with either fat, sugar, or salt normally. So if they take the sugar away from something, they're usually going to bolster it up with fat and salt. And if they take away the salt, they're going to bolster it up with sugar and fat. And so it's just a trade-off. If you have to look at how they sneak those things around, and it's all in the name of weight loss usually. So you got to that weight loss goal out of things, I think, and look at just a health goal versus a weight loss goal. Because you look at weight loss, that's why people buy into all these artificial, sugars and sweeteners. And, oh, we're going to, instead of, just drinking water, they're like, oh, okay, I can still drink my soda. I'm just going to drink this other version of the soda and that'll be okay. I'll still from that. And ultimately, that never happens. The artificial sweeteners actually have the opposite effect, I think, is they end up causing you to gain more weight in the end, compared to just eating sugar or carbs or whatever.
They do. And I mean, you can see people all the time who consume the Diet Cokes, and they generally tend to be on the heavier side. And I think it's because it wrecks your microbiome. It kills off all the good bacteria that is actually in your body. So, is everybody frozen? Am I the only one left? I'm the only one left. Oh, I heard a syllable. There you are. Okay, cool. Sorry if I cut you off. I think you might have frozen.
Am I frozen again?
No, you were. Not now.
Am I good now? I'm sorry. Yeah. We're having we don't have weather yet, but we will be getting some weather today. So I think we're struggling a little bit. We already don't have good internet here. So anything thrown in the mix makes it real temperamental.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sorry about that, y'all. Okay. So are we ready to move on to the next practical bite?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about getting to know fake meat. Well, hey, Miss Heather, glad you're here.
I see Tony is here. Hey, everybody.
All right, so fake meat. Now, I really don't know a lot of folks that consume fake meat, but I know they're out there because there's a huge market for it. So I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts other than I think the word fake really says everything. But
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tangi.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I have tried some of the fake meats, and that was a part of the reason being when I first found out about the alpha-gal syndrome, where I found out I was allergic to beef and pork and stuff like that. I was desperate. I was like, what am I going to eat? And so I've bought some of those to try them out, and they taste all right. I mean, they do have a texture of meat and beef and stuff like that. But me personally, I'm not a vegan, so I'm not eating them because I'm vegan. I was just trying to find a substitute for beef. And now that I have found some actual meat substitutes for beef, being like emu meat, is, you guys, tastes just like beef, and it looks just like beef. So if I need a burger now, I'm going to get some emu. I will cook that. They have steaks and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, versus a fake meat, I'm definitely going to go for the other. And I think if you are vegan, that you can make your own black bean burgers and different patties like that without going the whole fake meat route. I think it's even more processed than, I mean, I don't know. It's most of those lists about 40 or 50 ingredients in a processed meat. Mm-hmm. And that is, I mean, you're right back where you started then. It's not any healthier than eating beef. So yeah, it's no good.
I think that's why most people do consume the fake meats, is because it is marketed as a healthier substitute for meat. Everybody's told, like, with the chapter before with the demonizing of the fats, like everybody's told all these things that are so counterintuitive and fake and just lies, that all this stuff that is actually good for us is bad for us, like lard and tallow and real butter and, raw milk. All of these things are demonized so heavily, but those are the things that you can actually use to heal your health. Like all these sugars and processed foods and fake meats and, low fat cuts of meat, all those sorts of things. Those are the things that are detrimental to our health. It's like, it's so counterintuitive. It's like, there's no explanation for it other than it's intentional. Like whether it is to destroy our health or simply to make money makes no difference. It's just they're killing us.
Yeah. And I think it's part of that whole, another labeling tactic, the plant-based. You hear plant-based a lot because that sounds, it sounds healthy when you say plant-based. Okay, well, we're plant-based too. I mean, we're all plant-based, I guess, but yeah, another word that they're using to kind of twist things around. And I think right now they're trying to, you've heard all the stuff about the farting cows are causing too much methane and all this kind of stuff. I think they're pushing for this plant-based thing because it sounds better. It sounds like, oh, instead of all those farting cows, we'll just have plants growing and that'll be fine. And of course, it's that monoculture. You're just growing more soy or more corn or more whatever to make these burgers out of. And it's not the balance that you think it's going to be, but the way they make it sound is like, oh, it's plant-based, it must be good. And so it's just that wording again. You got to really look past those words that make you think it's healthy.
Especially when they try and pass it off as being like more environmentally conscious. That's the part that really gets my goat. Like it makes me so infuriated because like I can go, and I do go to my farmer 20, 30 miles up the road, my rancher. I buy a cow once a year. It gets brought to the meat packing plant, gets processed, and I pick it up and I bring it home. And that is how many meals? And that's like 1,000 meals, right? And you're going to tell me that trucking all of this soy and corn and horrible, horrible things from across the world is somehow more ecologically friendly than my cow's farts? Whatever.
Yes, that's exactly what they're saying.
Ridiculous.
is exactly what they want you to believe. And I do get it. Like in factories where all these cows are together, I bet there is a whole bunch of stinking mess there. Yeah, I get it. Like we definitely need to get rid of those. And if my cows out here wandering around, they're not stinking up anything. They're good to go. So
This man right here, farm
yes.
like him,
Yes.
and the world will heal itself.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. And then going back to what you were talking about too, looking at the ingredients, talking about like the health conscious argument. It's like you've got processed hydrogenated oils. And one of the things in some of the past practical bites I talked about, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Don't eat it. And some of these, my dog's nail just got caught in my britches.
I should say, if you can't pronounce it the first time you read it, because I can pronounce a lot of these because I've practiced.
Yeah.
I have to go get a chemistry book to look it up later.
Right.
I'm not going to eat it.
Exactly. But I do like how at the end of the practical bites, they do give, basically just reiterating questions that they have already shared, which is, let's see, if you understand what these things do, if you feel like it is good for you, then sure, go ahead and get it. But if not, just leave it on the shelf. Okay, so all right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next practical bite. Do y'all have any other thoughts about fake meat that you would like to share?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts about it. Just leave it there.
This is your time. This is it. Time to shine, Anna. Do it.
No, it's just chemical crap. Like, I don't know. They even did studies on, what was it, the Impossible Burger, I think, which everyone is supposed to look like real, like the chemicals and the levels of glyphosate that were in that burger were like off the charts. My work was going to try and switch over. We use like Garden Burger brand veggie patties, which are terrible enough in themselves, but when you actually like compare the ingredients, like at first it's like, oh yeah, that's great, it tastes good, it does, I'm not gonna lie, like it tastes good. But when you actually look into not just what's on the label, but what's in the meat, like it's not things that need to be declared. Like there's so many chemicals, and like you don't have to put glyphosate on there unless like you literally like pour glyphosate in it, like, but it's in there at very, very, very high toxic amounts, and you're killing off your gut microbiome. Everything is about the gut microbiome. Everything.
Yep.
But don't forget, glyphosate is grass. It's safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
They told us it was.
They told us it was. Man, Monsanto told us it was safe. So clearly it's safe.
I love how like it's Monsanto.
Well, it is.
I love that.
Yeah. It's awful.
I've not heard you call it its real name. I mean, I guess that technically is its real name, but I just love that. It's like that's just what
it just is.
Okay.
It's approved. Yep.
Okay. Drink soda with intention. Who would have thought that you would have heard them say that? Drink soda with intention. Now, something that I can contribute to this conversation is a lot of you all know that my husband is a caver. And one thing that I have learned is that caves are created when rain comes down and it eats away the into the rock. And what causes the rain to eat away is carbonic acid. And it causes caves. One might even say cavities in the ground. So that's just rain. Imagine what sodas being drank regularly can do to the enamel of your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty, I don't know, when you think about that, and not just your teeth, but your gut, your soft tissue, your all of your good stuff that is supposed to be in there all the time. So anyway, that was my 2 cents that I wanted to add.
I remember back in the day, and I don't know if it's still a thing, people would say to pour a Coke on your car battery. If there was a bunch of acid built on your car battery, you would pour a Coke on it and it would dissolve the battery acid. Oh my gosh. And I mean, that's just crazy to think about, that it's that acidic, that it's doing that in your body too. I mean, it really is. And of course, sugar is through the roof. But when you go back to look at this chapter about drink soda with intention, I do still occasionally drink a Coke. I'm not going to lie about that. It was my one soda that I always loved, and I don't ever buy it at the store. The only time that I ever have it is occasionally when I go out to eat. That's it. So it's kind of like what they say. You pick a time, like this is the only time I'm going to consume it with a certain specific meal or at a certain location or something like that. And I think I've tried to do that. So I'd say I have a Coke once a month, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'd say I probably have a couple of times a month. We don't keep them in our house. Like it's not part of my regular grocery haul. We might get them if we have people over and we know that's what they drink. Special occasions. But yeah, now my husband, on the other hand, unless he decides just to go off of them, he will have a few a week. But I don't bring them into the house as a regular part because of that reason. I mean, it's the sugar content. It's bad for your teeth. It's just not good to have as a regular beverage.
Yeah, I see multiple people saying that they use it to clean the mineral deposits in their toilets too. And so I'm just like, yeah, I got to stop. I don't even need my Coke once a month. It's just cleaning things out, y'all. It's all right.
Now if you do get the Mexican soft drinks, those are made with real sugar. They're not made with high fructose corn syrup. I don't know. That's really the only ingredient that I've paid much attention to. I don't know if the rest of it is cleaner than what we produce here in America or made for Americans. But yeah, I think I would much rather have real sugar than the high fructose GMO corn syrup.
Definitely would pick that over the alternative if I could only pick one. My husband used to drink a lot of regular sodas, like many a day. And and then for some reason, I finally got him to switch to Zevia. And so now he drinks those. And as far as I'm aware, it's a pretty good substitute. I mean, I've called the company and found out like they use a good quality, high quality water. If they're in the cans, they are, what's that? Reverse osmosis, because it was processed in LA. And I was like, I need to find out what they do with their water. So I called the company and they filter it with reverse osmosis. So I was like, okay, that's, pretty good alternative. It's sweetened with the stevia. I haven't heard anything negative about it. And so he drinks that, and it's a little bit higher price tag, but it's worth it if he's going to drink that over Coke or Fanta or something like that. I would much rather that. And I used to drink almost a 12-pack a day. No joke. I literally did not drink water for years. I drank regular Pepsi for a very, very long time. And that was really obviously a contributing factor as to why I ended up 300 pounds. And then I was like, I'll just switch to Diet Coke. So I did. I switched to Diet Coke for probably 5 years after that. And I drank Diet Coke for very, very, a lot at almost the same amount. It was like, I literally did not drink water for years. Not even exaggerating, like not even a drop. It was really bad. And then I don't remember what happened. I just stopped drinking it. I was just like, I think I found out how bad it was or something. And I just stopped drinking it. And I just haven't had it since. I haven't had any diet soda that I can recall in years, very, very, very long time. And I'll have an occasional soda. It's not Coke. It's usually like one of the froofy ones, like Sprite or something like that, because I just can't stand the taste of Coke anymore. But it's well, Heather, I drink way too much Zevia. It's become a vice. Yeah, I was drinking a lot for a long time, and now I drink maybe one in the evening, probably. Thankfully, I just drink coffee's my vice. Coffee, coffee has become the new water, but it has water in it, right? So it counts.
Yeah, I do love Zevia, and like you said, it is a higher price point. But if it's something that you're not drinking as your main beverage, it's just something to enjoy occasionally, it's definitely a better alternative. And I would also say that kombucha is also another excellent alternative because you get the fizziness, but it's also good for you because it's got the probiotics. One of the things I highly recommend a video that Anna just released. Where it was your Wellness Wednesday, and you did talk about how not all kombuchas are created equal. Some are pasteurized, and some are raw, which is really what you want. But yeah, if some of you watching have never tried kombucha, it's definitely different. It might take you a couple of times of trying it before you acquire a taste for it. But I love it. My family loves it. My kids love it. In fact, I've got some going right now, and they're like, "When is this going to be ready?" I'm like, patience, Obi-Wan.
Patience, grasshopper.
Yeah. So those are all definitely good intentions, but yeah, but I love how they are stressing you're making small changes as you can, as you're comfortable, and each little step is going to help you get to your health goal. Drinking soda occasionally with intention and not relying on it as a way of hydrating yourself is definitely a good step in the right direction.
And I missed a comment on here. Pamela said, I have a bad Diet Coke habit and I need to stop. And I would say the best thing that you can do for yourself is to research it. Like, open mind, don't shut yourself off to anything. Just research what's in it and the ingredients and what it does to the body. Look outside of PubMed. Look at other things. Don't go with mainstream research. Go with alternatives. Go with the smaller funded studies. Don't go with the big ones. Look who funded the studies. As noted in here with aspartame research, look at independent studies and it'll tell you what it does to your body, and just leave yourself open to it, and it'll really help.
Heather said that's how the habit changes stick. It's an evolution of change, not a cold turkey situation. And that is very true. And that was one thing we discussed last week after we got off of this. It's like, this can be overwhelming if you're trying to do everything at once. And I know for me, that's I know a lot of people have talked highly about From Healthy Mama. I cannot tell you how many times I have tried to read that book, tried to implement it, and I'm just like, I get so overwhelmed. I'm just like, I can't do this. I can't process this. I can't function. That is not the intention of this book. It's to little practical bites, which is why it's called that, one at a time. So I feel like drinking soda for me, that just seems like it would be one of the easier ones to implement. It's not saying don't drink it ever.
And there's also little packs that you can buy. It, like the meal pack things, but it's monk fruit sweetener. And so it has cleaner ingredients and they taste fantastic. You can get them from Azure, you can get them from Amazon, and you just put a little squeeze of it in your water and it'll give you some flavor. It won't like carbonate it, but it'll give you a little bit of a flavor, and it won't like corrupt the water or whatever. So it'll still be a good clean water for you to drink, and it'll still be hydrating, but you'll still get, some flavor to it.
Good.
Yeah, I like this bite because it's free. This one doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to switch over to something else, except water. Really, you don't. This one is free. So if you don't do this one, that's on you guys. You can't claim because it's too expensive. Just don't drink soda. It's really simple. It's actually. It's going to save you money. It's going to free up some money to buy some of that organic meat that you need to get.
There you go.
That's a great point. That's a really great point. Yeah, and I will say this too. When Jack and I got married, I was 18 and I fit comfortably in a 10-12. We did not have sodas when I was growing up. That was something, that was special occasions when we go to somebody else's house or when we would go out to eat, we could get a soda, but we did not keep sodas ever, 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 ever in our house. It was sweet tea and water, and we mostly drank water. But when Jack and I got married, we lived right next door to his parents' garage. His dad fixed cars and lawnmowers, and they had a soda machine out there. And so, we'd usually have a handful of quarters. And so I would go get root beers. And it took no time at all from the time I was a size 10, 12 to a size 18, like that, super quick. And I know that was a huge contributing factor was soft drinks, for sure. Okay. All right. So if you guys are ready to move on to the next practical bites. All right. So number 19, which we've kind of talked about this a lot already, is hydrate your cells. So one of the things that we hear from the health community is you need at least 8 glasses of water a day. And I question that because our ancestors, they weren't like, oh, I've only had 6 glasses of water today. I should drink a couple of more. But there is some science to that. So let's discuss. Why is it so important to hydrate your cells? Is 8 glasses really necessary? And are we drinking water wrong? Let's discuss.
I am. But I don't drink nearly enough water. I think there's a lot of reasons as to why you need to drink a lot of water. Like it's not just the passing of the, like as it's saying in here, like the water is what passes a lot of stuff through your body. It passes the electromagnetic charges. It passes, messages from here to there to everywhere. And it's even saying in there that it passes energy. Like it's not, what was it? I can't remember, ATP. It's not the ATP. The ATP is just what heats up the energy that is carried through the water. If I'm not misunderstanding the way that was presented in there, that's a new information for me. So I don't have a solid understanding of it. But it also just it keeps your stuff moving through your body. Flushes things through, and it's like it's not just it doesn't go out just as pee, but it's like what's in the pee and what's in the other number there. Things just it lubricates thing and helps things keep on moving through the way they're supposed to.
Well, and not just the hydration, but the structure of the cells themselves is what I found interesting. Like it's not just that you need things to be fluid; it's almost like a jello type structure where the cells are being held together with that gelatin type of liquid, and you've got to consume the right kinds of liquid to maintain that. And so, if you can't maintain that cell structure, it even says that the cells will start to clump together, and that's what makes tumors. So yeah, I mean, that's just from not drinking enough water, from chronic dehydration. And then there was another part that talked about that chronic dehydration causes cholesterol to go up. It's a protective mechanism. So, I mean, think about all the people being diagnosed with high cholesterol, and they may very well have high cholesterol, but many of them may just have also a chronic state of being dehydrated all the time. I mean, and then we're treating with these statins, which have a whole nother effect on the body instead of maybe just hydrating a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, staying hydrated is crucial just for normal function. And of course, it all is going to depend on how hot is it. What other foods did you eat that had water in them or liquid in them? It's varied person to person to person based on the weather, the climate, that individual person needs as far as water intake. But we definitely do need quite a bit every day. But I think you definitely need to read the signs of what your body needs. And if you're feeling thirsty, you're kind of already the 8 ball. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that by the time you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated, that you should try to stay ahead of that at all times, especially in the summer months when you're spending time outside and you're sweating, you're losing so much fluid that you can go down really quickly from a dehydration type injury. And once you get an injury like that, it's easy to have it happen again and again throughout the summer because you're already susceptible to being dehydrated. So yeah, stay hydrated, guys. Lots and lots of water.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to note here too, for folks who don't really pay attention or just haven't noticed, but not all waters are created equal. So if you are purchasing bottled water, it's really, really important that you know that there are different kind of waters that you can buy. So you've got spring water, you've got water that has been improved with other things to make it taste better. You've got water that is essentially tap water. Yeah, not if you're buying water, not all water is the same. So make sure that you're buying water safely and that you know about the different companies and what kind of water they have. But another thing too is it's also very easy to drink too much water, especially if you are drinking, if you're drinking so much water that you are flushing out some of your electrolytes, your minerals. Those are very important to replace. So it's easy to drink too much. Okay, yeah, Heather just said it's not just water. You have to keep up with your minerals. Oh no, I lost you. Here we go. So you hang on to that water. A long time ago, I was talking with Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, and she recommended that if you use a what do you call it? The filter that's in your pitcher, like a Brita filter, to add a little, like a pinch of salt in your pitcher, like a Himalayan salt or a real salt or something, because you do lose a lot of those minerals, especially if you drink too much water. And one of the cool things, if you guys have never researched mineral salt, like pick Himalayan sea salt or real Redmond salt, it is fascinating how many minerals and essential components are in just a little bit of salt. It is like really fascinating. I think is it one teaspoon of salt, of real mineral salt, has like 82 different minerals. I think I read that somewhere, that is essential to proper human function. I mean, Soleil water, I think, is one of those things. I know I've made that before and I've consumed that one, especially when I was in the throes of keto, because it replaces a lot of those electrolytes that you lose. And people don't realize, like, if they find themselves, first of all, not using the bathroom the way you're supposed to, if you are have a lot of brain fog, if you are low energy, a lot of this could be contributed to the fact that you are mineral deficient. And again, drinking too much water with no minerals definitely contributes to that, but it's an easy fix.
I always forget to add in the minerals and the salt and things like that when I'm doing keto. I tend to be pretty good at the magnesium every once in a while, but I definitely is something that I need to make sure that I'm get better at. And honestly, I just need to I think probably what I need to do is just cut out coffee after a certain time of the day, because I will literally drink it
Oh, hear you.
until I go to bed. And I said at a certain time of day. I will not cut it out completely, and that is just like miserable. But
I actually put salt
like being like, okay, stop drinking coffee at like 2:00 or something like that. You know?
Yeah, I haven't lately, but again, back when I was doing keto pretty seriously, I would put salt in my coffee, and it actually tastes better. Have you ever salted your coffee?
I haven't, but I had a friend of mine told me about it, and she said it cuts the bitterness of the coffee.
It does. Yeah, it really does.
I've never tried it. I don't know why. I
I've
don't, I
never
don't mind it. So.
I've never added it into my finished cup, but I have brewed my coffee with a little salt because it says it's supposed to take away the bitterness, but I've never added it. But salt always, if just a little, will enhance flavors of things. So it makes sense. It makes sense. Sure.
Especially if you use like even like a cream, like a half and half or a heavy whipping cream, because your heavy whipping cream has a natural sweetness, and just that little pinch of salt, it really takes it up to the next level.
Yeah,
it's really, really good.
Yeah.
So Heather says, I look at mineral panels all day and everyone is missing trace minerals, and macro minerals are always out of balance. And it really is crazy when you learn how they function. And then when you're like, oh, maybe that's why, I don't feel so good, or I'm tired all the time. You're missing those important minerals. Okay, I'm gonna whoops, sorry, Arctic Cat. Almost every restaurant I have ever worked salts their coffee before work. I did not know that.
We don't.
Heather also said minerals work together. For example, copper and zinc. When you're zinc deficient, copper is driven up and creates a breeding ground for yeast. Interesting. That is really interesting. I did not know that. I've not heard that. That is super, super interesting. Another mineral fact. I used to babysit this little girl, and her mom was telling me that when she was an infant, there was one morning she went to get her, and she was like almost lifeless, just limp arms, limp legs, very lethargic. They could not figure out what was wrong with her. They sent her to, a children's hospital, and it turned out she was very deficient in, I can't remember now what it was. I want to say it was zinc. But I could just be thinking that because I just read that. But yeah, it was really interesting. And they gave her liquid drops of whatever that mineral was. And like before the day was over, she was almost acting normal again. So anyway, it's crazy stuff. All right. Are we still going?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, the timer is frozen on 26 minutes.
We're at 56.
It says 56 on our end.
Yeah, we're right at 57 now. Right now. So
57 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's 9:57.
Holy cow. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to bite number 20. Da-da-dum. Say yes to RBGH free mild products. I don't know.
Milk.
That's
Milk.
It's milk, but we all know what you meant.
I mean, milk can be mild,
It can.
We want it to be mild, I think.
Ain't nothing like
if your milk is spicy milk, that is an indication, y'all. That is a clue. No spicy milk.
Gotta love them spicy milk products. All right. Well, I'm gonna fix that while you all start discussing.
Oh, I didn't even see it on screen. I thought you were reading it wrong, and I was like, "What?"
No,
I just saw it.
No, that's my typing skills there for you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna fix that while y'all talk. So all right. So what is RBGH, and why should we be avoiding it?
My understanding is that it's a growth hormone. Is that I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get to read this chapter. I had to stop at 19.
It's a hormone that's used to increase milk production in dairy animals. So, and they claim that the ones that are given hormones are the same as the ones that are not given the hormones. That there is no difference. That's what they say. That's what has to be labeled on the outside of the container. Obviously, that's another one of those word tricks for us. We probably don't need extra hormones going into our animals for things that we're consuming every single day. Am I losing you guys? I feel like y'all are frozen again. Okay, I'm gonna just keep talking. I try to consume, of course, I'm still consuming the ultra heat treated dairy from the store. It's organic, but I'm still getting the ultra pasteurized stuff. So although I'm not getting the hormones, I'm still getting the ultra pasteurized milk. So I think for me, I'm going to just have to really make the trip every week. I have a dairy 1 hour away from me. I can get raw milk, and I just need to make the commitment to myself to
You
get
can
it.
freeze it easily.
Yeah.
It reconstitutes very well.
I need to make the commitment to myself that I'm not going to consume. It's the commitment to yourself to say, okay, I'm going to take the time to go get this product, and then I'm going to have to take that product and turn it into the other things, because raw cheese is not a thing. Georgia does not sell raw cheese. So if I want to actually have the other dairy products be raw, I'm going to have to take the time to make those things. And so this is the mental commitment for me. This is one of the big bites that I need to take that I have not committed to. Dairy is the big one I have not committed to. So
Azure Standard does have raw cheese, just so you know.
That again?
Azure Standard, they do have raw cheese.
Yes, I have ordered from them. So that is good. Yes, I do order from them on occasion. I'm just trying to make, if I really want to replace all of my dairy, which I don't have to do that. I know that's not the bite yet. It's just the milk. So I can definitely do the milk. So I'm going to commit to myself to go buy the raw milk from here on and
that's awesome.
Consume that. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't consume much milk because I'm lactose intolerant. I can't drink like just milk. But I can have milk products like kefir, cheese, yogurt, sour cream. Those are things I can have those, and I don't generally have an issue with it. But I can consume raw milk. It's not a problem for me. I don't have the gut issues from raw milk. So, and I literally right down the road. Thankfully, there's a store right down the road. It's on my way to work. I can stop and get it. It's $14.99 a gallon, but I can get it. So it's not something that you sit there and drink on very much, but it's worth buying for things like kefir and things like that, which I will be doing here very shortly. But like my understanding, the RBGH, I want to say something different. I swear that used to have a different name. RBGH milk, or the hormone itself, I believe it's an estrogenic hormone, and that's where it becomes the problem, especially with young children who drink a lot of it. They tend to develop much more quickly, especially the girls, and the boys tend to be more effeminate. That's kind of the issue that my understanding with it is that it's basically just estrogen. You may as well just be eating, unproperly processed soy food. Like it's pumping your kids full of hormones, like estrogen hormones, and people wonder why their kids are pregnant at 10. Like, I'm sorry, your daughter should not be capable of being pregnant at 10, even if she were promiscuous. Like it shouldn't be physically possible. So that's my understanding of why it's so bad is the estrogen content of it, and just the artificial hormones, but mostly just the estrogen part of it.
I have a question for Heather. So she's commenting about people being allergic to dairy, or a lot of people being allergic to dairy. Do you think it's all dairy, or is it different between raw dairy and pasteurized dairy? Or do you have any comment about that, Heather? Oh, she said, be right back. She just said, be right back. I have to go chase the cat. Okay. So that would be my question is like, does it matter to the body, whether it's raw or pasteurized? Maybe that makes a difference. Maybe not. So
I think the reason that people are better able to process raw milk is the lactase that is an enzyme that is in the raw milk that is cooked out when you process the milk. It's the lactase that allows people to process the lactose, and some people just naturally have lactase in them, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it is. I know that lactase is not a gene, so she might know more than that on that. Obviously, she knows more than that than I do, but I know that that's why the raw milk people are better able to handle it, is just the enzymes are already in the milk to enable you to process it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't know, I mean, I knew that this was not a good thing, that, I think anytime you manipulate an organic animal or plant or anything to do something that it's not supposed to do is never a good thing. But I did not realize that the different medical conditions that these cows being treated with this hormone end up getting. So it talks about inability to walk due to severe hoof problems, 40% decrease in fertility, which makes sense. It would make sense that it would mess with their fertility. Blood abnormalities, Increased mastitis, again, that makes sense. Digestive disorders shorten lifespans. Yeah, a lot of those I did not know, but I mean, but it makes sense. Anytime you manipulate God's creation to do something it's not supposed to do, it's something bad's going to happen. And same thing with us. And we're consuming.
There's always a consequence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're pumping these animals full of a hormone so they can produce more. And I'm sorry, it's not to feed the world. It's not to feed the world. It's to make more money. That's really what it comes down to. But yeah, and then if you read on, this is on page 146, it goes into, I think we touched on it maybe a little bit last week. Some things that are found in milk that don't necessarily sound appetizing, and that's the blood and the pus, which all of that comes from the mastitis, which is caused by giving all of this hormone. It's a horrible, horrible cycle. Yeah, and it really makes you not want to be a part of it. It's just, it's like once you read that, you can't go to the store and look at a conventional gallon of milk the same ever again. Never, ever again. Never.
That's why it's so important to educate yourself on these things. Like a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what's in things. And I was like, well, just read. Like if you see an ingredient that's in there, if you see something that says it's RBGH free on their milk, maybe you should look it up and find out why they're saying, hey, we don't have this. Like,
Right.
Same thing like with the aspartame that's on the label. Like, why would that be on every single thing that contains it? There's a warning telling you it's in there.
Right.
Like just look these things up, and why all these things are so bad for you. If you just look it up and you gain the knowledge, it's like you're taking ownership of your own body and your own health, and the temple that God has given you, you're treating it in the best way that you can. And it's not like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and nobody here is saying that we're anywhere near perfect, but like at least we can all try, and we can all do the best that we can in our particular situation. And there was one thing that was interesting. I saw a comment on here where she basically said that people are willing to pay much more than $14 a gallon for beer. And I was like, that's a true fact. Somebody else was saying in Arkansas, Northeast Arkansas, $4 for milk. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need that in my life.
Same here. I pay $8.50 for a gallon of raw milk. So pretty decent. I think that's a really good price.
It was $10 before all this, pandemic crap happened. So now it's 15. Makes me so sad.
Julie, Heather is back if you wanted to ask her that question again about dairy.
Oh, Heather, so quick question for you. You noted earlier in one of your comments that you see a lot of dairy intolerances and lactose intolerances. Does it make a difference whether people consume raw dairy versus pasteurized dairy, or do you think that matters? I would love to hear your comments.
Yeah, because I've always heard people that tend to be lactose intolerant tolerate raw milk better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would be curious to see. I mean, I can see where taking all of the enzymes and the bacteria and everything out of the milk makes it not, depends on the sensitivity. That makes sense. Everybody's different. Everybody's just built different. So yeah. All right. Awesome.
All right. Well, we are actually over our time, but once again, this has been incredible. Let's see. She says if it's the protein, casein, or whey, or histamine, then it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right. So next week, if you guys want to read bites 21 through 26, 25. That's what I meant. Let's see. I was like, wait a minute. There is 26.
Sorry.
Bless you.
I couldn't get to the mute button fast enough.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. So I'm trying to see how many bites there are before we finally get to chapter
30. I think there's
No, there's like 50 almost.
Was there more? No, there's more. I'm sorry. That was wrong. That was wrong.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, there's more. It's when you go into that next chapter, there's 30. What's this last one? Hold on. I'm going to say. There's 34 if you stay in that first section. And then you move on to the real food part, which will start the next practical bites.
Okay.
So we definitely have a week's worth of reading here, I think.
Yeah. So, all right. So next week we'll discuss 21 through 25. This has been wonderful as always. And we thank you all so much for joining us. Also, like I said before, if you have not subscribed to these ladies, please be sure to check the description box for their links. And don't forget to check out A Good Life Farm and see why she's not here, because y'all, it's pretty crazy and pretty awesome. So y'all just gotta go see.
Once in a lifetime thing at her place. Go check it out. It was good to see everybody. Glad you were here. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Good day, guys.